Hey, what's going on there, folks? Earthmaster here. Happy New Year's Eve. Not quite 2019 yet. Still got a couple hours to go here on the West Coast. It is December 31st, 2018, 7:45 p.m. here, my time out here on the West Coast, like I mentioned, and a lot of earthquake activity out there, folks. Pretty much what I would describe as a global unrest of activity happening. With just no major large quakes, but the multitude of quakes taking place over the last couple days here has been actually quite impressive, to say the least there, all throughout the Indonesia Islands region and extending over to the west as well. And even up around the Middle East region and the Mediterranean Sea region as well, seeing some activity, but nothing like the activity that's occurring right around the Pacific Ring of Fire, right? Quite a bit of activity up around Japan region. You can just see that cluster of activity occurring up here in the northwest corner of the Pacific plate boundary. And up here in Alaska, quite a bit of activity. Now, there was a 6.0 off the Aleutian Islands region there, separate from that large quake they had there last month up around Anchorage. You can just see quite a bit of activity occurring in the state of Alaska, with the most recent 5.0 earthquake striking near Anchorage, Alaska. I do want to bring up a different map, and I can show you guys the multitude of earthquakes that are taking place up there. Now, this is expected following that large earthquake, like I said, last month. I believe it was last month, because I believe it's about over 30 days now. This here is the USGS 30 days magnitude 2.5 and above. So this just does not count all magnitudes, right? It just counts 2.5 and above. So just within this vicinity here of Anchorage region, you know, there's some sporadic activity. We can zoom in here just a little bit closer and get a better shot of the Anchorage earthquake activity. Okay, there you go. There's the city of Anchorage, which is beautiful, by the way. I was fortunate enough to see it last winter, right around this time last year. It's beautiful up there. So yeah, 441 earthquakes just within this vicinity here, all right around that epicenter area where that large earthquake took place there last month. And that 5.0 is just a pretty good size one there. I'm sure a lot of folks there in the Anchorage area felt it quite strongly. It looks like a 4.9 prior to that, but there's a lot of earthquake activity taking place, folks, and you can kind of see the curvature that's taking place with those aftershocks there. Most recent earthquakes are going to be, of course, in the red, and then you get to the orange, and then the yellow, and then the white are the older ones. So, you know, there's really no migration being seen here with this earthquake activity. It's just pretty much confined to this region of about 10 to 15 miles in length by about 5 to 7 miles in width. And it does extend into portions of the city of Anchorage down here, kind of close to where that 5.0 is. And it looks as though it may have been migrating down there, but a lot of this earthquake activity taking place right around 40 kilometers below the surface there. And if you look at all these aftershocks here, there's not a whole lot of surface type quakes occurring with any of these earthquakes, mostly down there around 20, 30 to 40 kilometers below the surface there. I just don't see a whole lot of shallow quakes happening. Of course, this is in a subduction region, so we're going to see some activity like this for quite some time, I believe. You know, I don't think we'll see anything bigger happening out there, but it's always good to be prepared. I mean, you just never know what Mother Nature's going to throw at us up there. So yeah, just be prepared up there in that beautiful state of Alaska, let me tell you. Taking a look at Yellowstone National Park here. This here is a station off of the Yellowstone thumbnails, which is a pretty cool site to check out. That's just, let me show you guys what I'm talking about here. Yellowstone thumbnails is this site right here. You can go check it out at the URL is, I'm pretty sure I posted it in the details below my video. So, but yeah, they had a pretty intensified swarm of activity of probably about 100 earthquakes or so for about 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours overnight last night. Since then, looking at the most recent graph right here from Borehole, which is where a lot of the activity has been shown to be close to, right, pretty much the epicenter. It has died down quite a bit, but if you take a look at all those little blue spikes, right, even little bitty ones are earthquakes. And they do show up on the seismograph stations over here that I do have pulled up. That's going to be this Lake Yellowstone, which is about the closest station I can find to the earthquake activity. Now, I'm not for sure why they do not have Lake Yellowstone on the thumbnails. I am not seeing it. It was not there this morning when I did the update, and normally it would be kind of in and around Borehole and Lake Butte, but that is not the same as a Lake Yellowstone. They've taken that off for some reason, but you can still look at a pretty close station, which is Borehole B208. It looks like that. Like I said, that's this station right here. And the activity came in with a vengeance there for quite some time. And, you know, it's just a cluster of quakes in a small amount of time there. And like I said, these little ones that are popping off here, the little blue spikes, tiny ones, right? Those are still earthquakes. So I am watching it. I am watching this station right here, Lake Yellowstone. You can see those spikes popping up there. Those are small earthquakes, very small, maybe micro earthquakes. It's the bigger ones that you will notice that pop up also on the Madison 207 Yellowstone station, which is kind of in the northwest corner of the park. Once you get an earthquake spike large enough in magnitude, it will also show up here on this station at a distance away. So these little ones not showing up right now. Like I said, those are probably microquakes, and the cause of this is still being looked at. Of course, Yellowstone is no stranger to earthquake activity and earthquake swarms. I mean, it's definitely a super volcano, but it's also out there along the plate tectonics of the Intermountain West, and also right there at the edge of the North American Craton region. So it's definitely prone to earthquake activity. Over the last 24 hours, like I mentioned, quite a bit of activity out here on the Pacific Plate, and some deep movement out there in the Fiji Islands region, and also some deep movement over here around Indonesia as well. So fairly active. You know, it's just West Coast region. I can't say it's been all that active. Actually, it's been pretty mellow out there in the Midwest and Oklahoma region, and back east, pretty mellow as well. I can bring up the Caltech website right here, and we can take a look at the most recent earthquakes out here in the California and Nevada region here. Pretty quiet, right? Looks pretty mellow. A little bit of activity down around the southern section of San Andreas Fault System, and also down past Los Angeles region. But other than that, we're looking at pretty calm conditions out here when it comes to the earthquake activity. So we'll see if that continues that way, and we'll keep an eye on Yellowstone and do any updates if necessary if we happen to see that thing popping off some bigger earthquakes there. Like I say, it is a super volcano. There's no indications or no signs of it being magma related. Most likely could be water migration, or it could have something to do with the ice up there in the region there. So other than that, folks, hope everyone out there plays it safe. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you what to do, but just, you know, be safe. Play it safe out there. It's you know, it's not my job to tell you, but I think we're all adults, and it's a good thing to do, right? If you want to make it home alive. So me, I'm going to be kicking back and maybe enjoying a beer or two, and that's about it. I'm not going out. I'm not partying. I'm not going to be part of the crowd. I don't know. I haven't done that in so many years, and that's the way it's going to stay. So, all right, folks, take care. We'll talk to you next year. Peace.